right hook. With thanks to Hibernian Aviva, proud sponsors of Aviva Stadium. Newstalk 106 to 108.
Well, the text number for your messages, cost 30 cents, is 53106. I'd love to hear from you. On the next item, I have in the studio with me a certified atheist. Now, this is, I think, my first atheist, but I know for certain it's my first certified one. And we're going to go there because there is now a new Irish website. It's called countmeout.ie, and it's been launched for Catholics who want to officially quit the faith, of course, that is given to you in baptism when you really didn't have much choice in the matter. Well, Ken McCue is a certified atheist. You've managed to get yourself disentangled, I suppose is the word, is it? You're not a member anymore.
No, I'm not. I'm officially declassified now at this stage. I'm decommissioned as a member.
So, first of all, how do you get declassified?
Well, it's a very difficult and long process, believe it or not, because you've got to be declared an atheist by the Roman Catholic Church for a start.
Right.
So you go through it took me about 8 years altogether.
8 years?
Yeah, it's a long, long time. It's a very painful process.
Sounds expensive.
It cost me, I think, overall about nearly £5,000 to £6,000 at the time to actually, because I needed to translate Canon Law from Latin. Everything is done under Canon Law, you see.
Yes.
So I had to be translated from Latin, and I had to have some ecclesiastical and theologian lawyers with me to help me work.
Why weren't you happy just being an ordinary atheist instead of a certified one? I mean, you don't have to go to church. You don't have to partake in the sacraments and all that sort
well,
of
I tell you, it was a matter of principle for me. I remember the first time I thought about this was I was about 12 years old, and I wrote to the then Archbishop of Dublin, and they obviously totally ignored me. And then I got a football injury, and I was in Beaumont Hospital, and the triage nurse was signing me in and asked me my name and nationality and then religion.
Of course.
And of course I said atheist, and I saw her striking out Irish, and I said, what are you doing that for? And she said, well, you're either Protestant or Catholic in this country. So I took umbrage, obviously. I said, no, that's crazy. So when I was admitted then to the hospital, they had me down as Roman Catholic, so I thought, I've had enough of this, and I wrote to the Archbishop of Dublin. It was Connell at the time, Archbishop Connell, and his Monsignor Stenson replied to me, and he called me in for an interview, and I was surprised actually that I got the interview because I thought he'd just ignore it and hope that I'd go away, but he told me that I would have to go through a process where they would declare me sane to carry on with the process. So
first of all, you had to be declared sane before you could carry on.
Yes, I had to be certified actually sane.
Now, seeing as you're a bit of an expert in this, isn't there a kind of excommunication, for instance? We're all sort of part excommunicated if, for instance, we use birth control or stuff like that. Isn't there a kind of a halfway house?
There's a halfway house, and that's the process I went through. After I proved myself sane to continue, I then was excommunicated. So you're denied a lot of the sacraments, except the sacrament of the dying, which is the old extreme unction, which in case you might recant on your deathbed.
And you should have that option.
Yeah. Well, that was it. But then I went a step further then. And I looked for a declaration of atheism in front of witnesses, and that took a longer process because I have to prove, that I disagreed with the church. I had fundamental disbelief. For example, I took on the issue of apotheosis of angels. I took on the Lord's Prayer.
And give us that angels bit again.
The apotheosis is the belief that there is a hierarchy of angels, from your guardian angel that sits on your shoulder right up to the archangels like Gabriel and Michael and Raphael.
All right.
So I didn't believe there was a ranking structure among the angels, nor did I believe that they had the same status that humans had, even though they were spirits and recognised as communion of souls.
Stuff. So you had to take, and the Lord's Prayer, you had to take on each one.
Each one of them, yeah. And the one I majored on was transubstantiation, which
majored on it, okay.
Well, because I had to
transubstantiation is the conversion of bread and water into the body and blood of Christ.
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
That so?
One one substance to another, transformation. So, for example, Protestants believe that it's symbolic, but Roman Catholics actually believe that there is a transfer, and I disbelieve that, and I challenged then the theologians on that subject.
So did you go to, in effect, you went through a kind of a tribunal almost?
Yeah, well, it's the same as the Inquisition, it's like, for example, the head of the propagation of faith in Rome at the time was none other than Cardinal Ratzinger, who's now the Pope, and he was the one who would have made a final decision on.
Now, when you were talking about this, you were doing this by mail. I mean, you weren't sitting in front of a group.
Sitting in front of, yes, absolutely.
Where? In Rome?
No, in Dublin, in the Red House, what's the Bishop's Palace in Drumcondra.
Yeah.
I would go up and pay visits to them, and I would sit in with Monsignor Alex Stenson, who was the Chancellor of the Archbishop of Dublin, and he would bring me through the whole process, and then I would have my legal representatives advise me on that, and it took such a long time.
Now, when you said legal representatives, you had lawyers.
Yeah, I had.
Is it hard to get a canon lawyer, which is what you need?
Yeah, it's difficult enough to get a lay canon lawyer who's not obviously in any way biased, let's put it that way, or connected to the church.
But you found one?
I found a few, yeah.
But you had to pay them? That's what
I had to pay them. It was professional, yeah, it was professional, yeah.
Now, you're certified now, so you have a sheet of paper which says, bingo.
Yeah, and it's a miserable sheet of paper. I was looking for a decent scroll from Rome. It's a half sheet, half A4, and it has all the sacraments actually crossed out on the sheet of paper.
Have they left you with the option of a deathbed recantation?
No, they haven't. That's gone. And you know what's really surprising? I understood that I actually was confirmed. I was never confirmed because during the confirmation ceremony I was actually taken out of church by the priest in Arnkey Church when I was a kid. So that was actually left blank. There was no X across the box, of the confirmation box. So that's that's a really side angle.
Betty says Betty doesn't buy the certifiable stuff. She says you're still a Catholic. You're just a bad one. Betty thinks baptism, you can't get out of it.
Well, look, during
the church clearly says you can, though.
Absolutely, the Roman Catholic Church has declared me an atheist, and it's very clear, and I have the paper to prove it. So if Betty wants to have a look at it, we can put it up on the new website.
Well, this new website now, what do you think about this? Countmeout.ie, and they're going to find some way of officially quitting. Could you be an advisor on this? I mean, can they do it?
I've also agreed to become a patron of Atheists Ireland, which is Michael Nugent's new organisation as well. I put my name forward for that. For me, it was a very private thing, but I don't. It wasn't in any way. It wasn't a publicity stunt.
But do you think you are the only certified one, or do you suspect?
I'm the only. There is one in the UK, and there are a number in the United States, and I think one or two in Canada. I think there's about maybe 14 to 15 around the world.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, the countmeout.ie, there are 300 people sign up for this who want to quit.
Okay.
Now, they probably don't realise that it is as complicated. There isn't a shortcut, is there? There's no shortcut here.
Well, I've been asked by a documentary filmmaker in New York to make a short documentary about that as sort of an easy way out kind of guide, and I might actually go through with that now that there's such a response. That's pretty good, actually. 300 people in the country who are prepared to live. You see, at the same time, you're to say to Betty, you're born a human being and you're baptised Roman Catholic, and as you said, in lots of cases you don't get a choice.
You're only a few weeks when somebody pours water on top of your head, like you don't
most
exactly
kids
have much
scream their heads off.
All right, my thanks to my guest, Certified Atheist Ken McCue, who came into the studio. By the way, if you look on newstalk.ie/the right way, if you just click on the camera, you'll see what a Certified Atheist looks like. The horns are approximately 4.5 inches up in the air, and it looks pretty okay to me, I must say. So far, the studio is not immersed in flame.